Hello and welcome to Fortune India's 40 Under 40 Awards. Well, I find this bunch of panelists especially inspiring because when they started their venture and the categories they are currently playing now, the category actually, it hardly existed. And even if the category existed, it was a small niche. So for instance, Palak, when she launched Ekaya Banaras way back in 2012, all of us, like for all women, having a Banarasi sari in our wardrobe is a dream come true. But how many of us actually knew about a Banarasi sari brand? I doubt. So she was the first, hers was the first Banarasi sari brand, Ekaya Banaras. Similarly, Ayush. When Ayush and Anirudh launched Third Wave Coffee, specialty coffee was hardly a narrative in India. India was known for its cheap Robusta coffee beans, which would go into instant coffee. So now let's kind of understand their journey as to how they converted niches into scale. So Palak, I would like to start with you. So when you launched Ekaya Banaras, you came from a family of wholesalers. You came from where brand building was clearly an afterthought. So what made you believe that, design thinking, brand building in a category like Banarasi saris is likely to happen? What made you believe that you can go ahead with this journey?
I honestly did not know I was going to join the family business. I was studying in London and I came back my dad wanted me to come and join the business, and the real reason was that he wanted to get me married. I belonged to a very typical Gujarati family, and there was no woman who was ever working. And I think Ekaya was my dad's dream, and he wanted to open a retail showroom. But I think what really helped was my exposure in London. And when I studied and when I saw all these brands like Hermes, Louis Vuitton, all sell their products with so much love and care and with so much respect. And when I started the business with my dad, and I was like, why don't we do the same? Because there's the same amount of craftsmanship and love and effort that goes into it. In fact, a lot more. And hence I began on that quest to fall in love with the Banarasi sari and to sell it in a way that's truly like magical. And that's how my journey began.
Interesting. I would come to you, Ayush, now. When you launched Third Wave Coffee, India had a cafe culture. But coffee was never the hero. It was food. It was a effing food story more than a coffee story. And you and Anirudh made coffee the hero. So what made you believe that Indians would start, drinking coffee, and that too specialty coffee?
Yeah, no, you said it right? Like when we were thinking about this idea, like I think the biggest gap that we saw in the market was the fact that there were a lot of cafes that were serving lots of good food, and people would go there and enjoy their time. But people would end up having a coffee because they're there, not because they wanted to go and have a cup of coffee at these cafes, right? So I think we wanted to change that. I think one of the biggest achievements that we've had in the last 10 years that we've been doing this is we've been able to build a coffee culture in India, which didn't exist before we started Third Wave Coffee, I think. And that was sort of one of the biggest missions that we had. I didn't think, both of us never thought that we would probably have 175 cafes 10 years from now. The idea was to run one cafe and do it really well for a long time when we started off. But what we knew very well when we started off was that we want to bring this culture around coffee. How a neighborhood can go to a neighborhood cafe and really interact with other people in their community, interact with the baristas, learn more about their coffee, and really enjoy their cup of coffee, which I feel like we've been able to do. And that's exactly what we focused on when we started off.
So is coffee bulk of Third Wave Coffee sale, or is it food?
Absolutely. Actually, what's really interesting and what we're really proud of is the number of black coffee cups that we do at Third Wave Coffee. It's when I sort of compare our percentages to some of the global leaders, not just in India, but elsewhere as well, we have really high numbers on that. And that kind of shows how people have trusted the quality and have sort of like gotten educated about like what they like and what they don't like and have chosen to sort of go with that choice, right?
I'm actually one of them, one of those black coffee people from third wave.
Thank you.
So, so, at the same time, I'm sure it's true for you all that building scale for these niche categories would not have been easy when you started off, right? And I can only imagine the kind of conversations you must have had with investors at that point. And especially momos, because we genuinely fondly remember them from Delhi's Chanakyapuri or, Calcutta's nooks and crannies. So, Sagar, I want to get your take on this first. How did you build the narrative with the investors around scaling momos, first of all? How did you convince them? And, sorry, just were there any instances where they actually turned you down?
Before I come to investors, let me come to, relatives, friends and family. They would tell my dad, अपने बेटी को पढ़ाया लिखा है अभी वो मोमो बेचेगा मोमो वाला बनेगा एंड टुडे आई टेल देम कि अगर हमारे देश में चाय वाला प्रधानमंत्री बन सकता है तो मोमो वाला भी कुछ कर सकता है
True, absolutely true.
But to be honest, see, I was very clear in my mind that I was always inspired by brands like Domino's, McDonald's, who've come from abroad to India. And I was like, if Domino's can play with pizza, why can't we play with momos, right? However, when I would approach a mall to give me a location, before even coming to investors, they would say, we already have a Chinese guy selling momos. So no one could get that concept. So I was from Calcutta. और वो जो होता है घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर, I never got a location in any mall in Calcutta. So then when I started doing well and opening high street stores, I went all the way to Bangalore and opened my first store in Phoenix Market City Mall there. And trust me, I was doing more numbers than an American sandwich company there also, because I opened with the mall, it was a new concept. And I think what we had in mind, we had to walk the talk. So sometimes what happens as an entrepreneur, what you have in your mind, the other person cannot see. So you have to walk the talk, execute, and then show them. And again, those malls in Calcutta got me in. And earlier I would pay 20% revenue share. Today we pay 10% revenue share. So today we have the commanding power to the extent that if a new location comes up, a new mall comes up, we are already earmarked in the plan that, it's a category that we want, right? So you become a category creator. So I think it's very important to visualize what you want, go out there, execute, create, never say never. And to be very honest, when it came to investors, people would ask me what the TAM is. Now see, Domino's converted a roti-eating country to a pizza-eating country, right? My job as an entrepreneur is to build the TAM, okay? And when investors would ask me what the TAM is, will you sell in South India, will you sell X, Y, Z? Today I can proudly say I have 90 plus stores in only Chennai, okay? I have more stores in South India than I have in North India, right? So net today, a small kid in Chennai will tell his dad, "Appa, mujhe wow momo khana hai," like in the local language, by seeing a local momo player. So we become the product and the brand. So I think you have to go out there, execute, walk the talk. When people write you off, देखो लोग तो कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना, right? So today investors ask me, will Momo sell in a Siliguri and a Darjeeling where it already sells? So investors will keep asking and keep doubting. You have to give the answer. I think, I give this example of Domino's, how they converted. I mean, if they can sell a 300 rupee pizza in 400 cities, I'm very confident I can sell a 100 rupee Momo in 400 cities. So I think now the TAM and all that has been answered. But yeah, in those days, there were doubters. There will always be doubters. I think as an entrepreneur, your job is to go out there and walk the talk. Yes, we become very emotional about the ideas that we have. I think if we can mix that emotionality with practicality and believe in what we feel can actually happen and visualize and manifest. I'm a big believer of manifestation. So the day I started, I remember I was visualizing my store in the best location of Calcutta, in the best mall of Bombay. Today I visualize Wow Momo in Times Square, New York. So, go out there, visualize, manifest, and achieve.
Is there any incident where you actually had to convince an investor?
We've always had to convince investors. I mean, even if the business was doing well, you had to convince them, right? Because see, questions will be there, right? I think it's more about giving them the right logic and also back someone who believes in you, right? You don't want an investor. So see, there are a lot of, when business is doing well, a lot of people will give you money, right? You need like-minded investors because वो कहते हैं ना कि जब आपका बल्ला अच्छा चल रहा है तो ठाट है. So you need someone who will stand by you in the bad times, right? And actually we saw a very big bad time when COVID happened, right? From a profitable business, we became a loss-making business, right? So, looking at my investors, one of my funds, they put in their fund management fee into us during COVID, right? So that's called real backing, right? And then they made a 7x, they made a 12x when they exited, right? So that's called real backing. So I think more than just getting the money, it's very important to get an investor who maybe doubt you, but if you feel that he's willing to stand by you, he's willing to, be there for you, I think that's very, very important. So it's not from whom you take the money, but, I mean, not just from you taking the money, but from whom you take the money, which is very, very important.
Absolutely. So, Saloni, coming to you, I think it must have been a double whammy for you, right? Because hair loss in India is still seen as a cosmetic problem. And we just have quick fixes with shampoos and conditioners. But you have focused on gut health as a solution. And so it's a lesser known category generally. And being a woman, you have made inroads into a very male targeted niche category. So how did that play out into your conversations with investors? And was it very, very different for you?
I think for the women part, I don't think I have had any experience where I felt being looked at differently. And I feel very blessed to have always found people who've sort of supported and encouraged me. For the other side, right, the company Traya, I think I agree that it was very difficult, especially in the early stage, right? The first time I went and I spoke to investors about Traya, they just couldn't understand what we are trying to do. And for us, it was extremely simple. We are here to grow hair. We are here to get hair back. And I remember my first pitch deck that got us the seed funding had 35 people with a bald head where they had covered and, gotten their hair back. And we said, hey, we can do something that the thousands of hair products out there cannot. And that's what we are trying to build. But, and I don't blame the investors. When you try to do something that's very different, it's very difficult to predict at an early stage because there's hardly any revenue. And then they don't know which bucket or playbook to fit in. Right. So they kept asking us, are you a shampoo brand? Are you going to launch products? Are you going to launch more SKUs? And we said, no, we don't need to sell a shampoo. We are here to grow hair, and shampoo has nothing to do with growing hair. So they said, okay, what do you have? I said, we have a diagnosis and we sell a customized kit because that's critical for efficacy. And then we have doctors, a prescription, and an adherence model because it takes time to grow hair. So they said, okay, are you telemedicine? And they just couldn't put us into a category because we were a mix of multiple things. So it was difficult to understand. But I honestly believe raising fund is like marriage. You need to find the right partner. And when it works, it works. And I actually don't believe in convincing people to put money in you because I really, agree with what he said. It's very important that you get someone who believes in what you're building. And I feel that today when I look back, the people who, gave us the money, I think gave us because they liked us as founders and they liked the passion, with which we were building this. So I think, early stage funding is complicated that way.
So Noli, I would come back to you again. So most startups talk about growth, but somewhere down the line, they miss out on profitability. So what really has been your mantra to build a business that is sustainable for the longer term?
So I think two things. One, both my co-founder and I very early on decided to not raise too much fund. And we've raised very little fund. Not get too much valuation. I know it's counterintuitive. But it brings frugality in how you build your business. And that just brings a lot of sensibility in building the right way, number one. Number two, you need to really be very honest with, is there a strong PMF? For us, it was a retention number, right? Because if you look at the personal care space, it's very, very easy to sell a shampoo or a cream bottle the first time to a consumer. You just need money, you need decent advertisement, and you can, sell it. But it's very difficult to organically get that consumer to come by and, come back and buy the second bottle. So at Traya, that was a North Star metric. And there have been times where growth was great and we stopped growing because the retention number dipped. And we said, hey, we need to first bring back the retention and then probably go back to growing. And these are the two things I think that really helped us build sustainably.
Interesting. Sagar, coming to you, what has been your mantra to build a long-term business? Because apart from selling momos, you're kind of diversifying into other verticals also, like Indian Chinese and things like that. So what really has been your mantra?
See, we've always believed that 1 rupee saved is 5 rupees earned, right? So I think consumer is the king, give the consumer what they want. I think at WOW, we've been able to build a very strong team because, I think food is a very, very difficult business. It's a 24/7 business. You produce all day, you sell all day, and, you have to satisfy everyone's palate. And, it's very difficult to please everyone. And also, I really feel it for the team because we have 8,000 people now with us. And, for them to stand 8 hours, smile and serve is difficult, right? So I think this is a people's business. It's by the people, for the people. I think we've really kept people right on top. I think for us, consumers are important, but I think the team is more important. One good employee can get you 10 good employees. So I think one thing that we've been really good at is retention. I mean, the amount of effort you put in rehiring and training, and I think more than being a food business, we are more of a learning and development business because this entire industry has gone through so many waves where earlier it was commerce, then e-commerce, then quick commerce, food tech, etc. Right? So I think you need to reinvent yourself really fast. What's got you till here will not get you till there. I think we've been really agile, following trends, doing things differently. So, 10 months back, we launched Korean momos. And then we saw after 6 months that every QSR was doing a Korean burger or a Korean pizza, right? So you need to move ahead of time. You need to, for example, last year we launched this Chinese thali in WOW China. It did really well at 199. Now we had to take the consumer from 199 to 299. So we've just signed up this brand ambassador called the Great Khali, who's a wrestler, and we're doing a Great Khali Thali, which is at 299. So for the same consumer, how can you upgrade him or her, right? So I think adding something to the menu, removing something from the menu, managing the food cost. Like earlier, all our momos would be handmade. We were 15 cities, 15 kitchens. Today, we are 3 factories that can make 2.2 million momos a day. So it's 60% machine made, 40% handmade. How do you, get margins there? How do you improve gross margins? How do you stay afloat and relevant and profitable when online is becoming really big because offline has more margins? So I think, for us, data fuels growth. People talk about food tech, but selling online is not food tech. For me, real food tech was creating a Momo vending machine, like call it ATM, anytime Momo, giving you instant Momos. Building equipments that can steam a Momo with less than a minute so that you handshake with the delivery rider in 4 minutes and it reaches you in 10 minutes. So I think that is real food tech for us. And, that's what we've done. We've built our backend accordingly. Today, the entire company operates on ERP, accounting, all that is there. But we have something known as the WOW Edge, which is where, you just don't track real-time sales, but you track real-time costs. So end of the month, 30th of July, if you want to meet your monthly targets, how much more discount can you give, ensuring food cost is not going down, but profitability is going up, rental costs are coming down. So I think this whole technology where you are hiring people using tech, you are hiring part-timers using tech, you are controlling cost. I think everything being live on the server out there and using data for growth is very, very important. Like I said, in this industry, 1 rupee saved is 5 rupees earned. And it goes with my name. वो कहते हैं ना बूंद बूंद से सागर भरता है, तो trying to do that.
So this question is for you all. You've all had a very inspirational journey, as we all know. And today, many young Indians, they are building from scratch. They want to create something of their own. They're taking risks, and they want to achieve success as well. But if you're being real, I'm sure you've all had your share of failures, ups and downs, your setbacks. So what did you learn from them? How many times did you fail? And what would be something that you learned from failure that you cannot learn from success? So Palak, maybe we can start with you.
I work with my family, and every single day is a new challenge. And sometimes I feel like you've got to work with the kind of situations you're in. So I work with a lot of hand-woven weavers, right? And there are certain things you cannot change about it. And as much of, I'm in a speed to grow and I want to grow, but there are certain limitations. So and that kind of takes time, and many things cannot take time, and you have to find an alternative for that. So many times I fail, but I'm just trying to figure another alternative out, or create another product that I can deliver quickly, or try and create a reason for the customer to wait, or kind of flip things around. And I feel like only I think your work and your experiences, and when you really truly, everything that I've done in 13 years, there have been certain yeses and certain no's. And I think that can only happen when you're working and kind of learn on the go.
Ayush, do you want to chime in? In your early days, how did you get back on your feet?
Yeah, no, I think very well said, Palak, of course. And I think to add to that, right, like I think resilience is one power or superpower that I would like, suggest to every entrepreneur who's starting up, like, because without failure, you will not get success, right? It's just as simple as that. And if someone had to ask me one thing that I would focus on as an entrepreneur, if I'm starting off, it would be resilience. Yeah.
Saloni?
You know, one thing I'd like to, sorry, Saloni, go ahead.
No, please.
You know, one thing I'd like to add, which has always kept me going, is that, when times are good, you should run. When times are average, you can walk. But when times are bad and you feel like giving up, don't stop moving. Even that one crawl every day, that one task every day gets you to the next day. So I think I've believed in that mantra of live today, fight tomorrow. And I think that's what gets you going. I mean, there are days when you're so happy, you can't sleep. But then there are days when you're so tensed, you're anxious, you feel like giving up and you can't sleep. But that's what entrepreneurship is all about. I mean, your dreams should be so big कि आपको वो सोने ना दे. So I think we're all blessed. And I think every morning when you wake up, it's about so many people who work with you. You feel empowered that, you're not just doing it for yourself, but for them because, I mean, you feel more responsible that, it's not just your decision, but it's also affecting so many lives when you actually create and recruit jobs. So that's a very, very big motivation.
I think the only reason I have not failed today is because it's a Saturday. So I think failure is, I think it's very important for an entrepreneur to be clear why you are becoming an entrepreneur and why you are starting. For me, it was the pleasure and passion of really being able to do something that is not being done before, right? Every time I saw a customer grow hair and see that joy on their face, I was like, oh, the big hair industry with thousands and thousands of products cannot do what I can do. And I remember my husband and I, we both quit our jobs to start this company. And for the entire first year, we were stuck at about 30 lakhs, 20 to 30 lakhs per month revenue run rate. And we don't even consider that as a struggling period because we were top of our life. We were having so much joy meeting those consumers. People were crying on phone with me, thanking me for growing their hair. Because it was very clear why I'm doing it. The revenue, the profitability, the numbers didn't matter much. And I think that helps you sail through the tough period. So it's very important to be very clear why you are doing it. And if that reason is right, it will help you sail through the tough paths.
So I can see the time's up signal there. I mean, I would have loved to go on and on. I had so many questions for you. Maybe we'll take it off the stage sometime. Thank you so much for your time, and I really hope all of you would build global brands very soon.